Right, what is up, race fans? Happy Saturday, everybody. We've got MissDes against NineteenNinetyX. We're going to be having a good old time today. Doing a premiere. This is not a live race, but we're going to enjoy it nonetheless. Boogey% is never to disappoint. For those of us who are just joining us, Boogey% is a partial game category. About, I want to say 30% of the run is going to be experienced here. We're going to see a lot of the menuing, a lot of the despawn tech, a lot of the movement that is involved with the run, but we are going to be finishing up about a third of the way through the run once the racers hit the jar of honey after the Boogie Tent fight. This is going to be an unmanipulated run. There are a few different categories we have to experience. This is a great beginner run for those just getting into the RPG speedrunning scene. This gives you a lot of the flavor of what an RPG speedrun can be without being, a 5-6 hour run just off the jump. Our racers are off. We've got a quick deviation here. Dez is going to be grabbing the baseball bat out of Tracy's room right off the bat just to make sure we get that equipped. Racer 199X is just heading off into the darkness. No defense. Not a whole lot to see here. There are no enemies for this first climb up the hill. We're just trying to investigate what that big boom was in the middle of the night that wakes us up. Wakes us out of our beauty sleep. Our pseudo friend Pokey here is going to give us the lowdown. And our racers are going to head back to bed. Very exciting segment. The first 7 minutes or so of this game are completely scripted. We are going to see basically the same thing, but we will see some deviations just based on the level of movement here. You'll see our racers gliding and sliding off of the different angles of terrain here. This is a very sub-pixely game, as many have mentioned in the past. There's a lot of places to get hung up, so all of those little movement optimizations are going to make a difference. This is a shorter category than the full game run, so those little bits and bobs are going to make many differences. Pokey is back, just revealing that he is a terrible big brother and lost his little brother somewhere in ONET. All right, both racers out of their pajamas and officially ready to save the world. 199X is going to grab the bat out of Tracy's room. You will not be able to leave the house here, I don't believe, without grabbing that bat, or Mom will really warn against it. But you do not want to get caught on a hill fight here without a bat. 199X behind the couch, and Dez is in front of the couch. All right, nice job for both runners getting the dog stuck on the tree there. There are guaranteed spawn plate here up at the corner. We'll see 199X doing a nice stutter around the neck there. But ooh, that dog is coming in out of the woodwork. really making things complicated. And Dez is going to pull that snake down. Very nice stutter around the corner there. And 199X doing about the same thing. Crow is not too big of a challenge there. They're going to be very fast, but once they get stuck on the cliff, they're kind of innocuous. And Dez is doing a great job getting around the trees there. And 199X, the snake stuck behind the tree there, so no worries on that one. And both going to be up to visit Picky here at about the same time. So yeah, we got about a 5-second delta. You love to see that on the hill climb. This can be a big source of variance at the beginning of the run. There's not a whole lot we can do about Starman Jr. That's going to be a scripted fight as well. We're going to get our good friend Buzz here to join us shortly. But the Starman fight, we only have Fire, Freeze, or Guard that we're going to see out of Starman. So we're basically just waiting for text to fly by and hoping that Buzz does his job. So meanwhile, we will see some text fly by here. Welcome on in, those who are joining us. All right, both our racers are going to work their way back down the hill. No spawns to worry about here, just good movement. We will be taking a pit stop here to grab the bread roll to make sure we have a little extra healing items. Most will opt to not grab this bread roll on the way up the hill just in case they do grab a crow fight. They like to steal things from us, and we want to have all our snacks for when we need them. We've got a long journey ahead of us. Both racers getting into the Starman fight just over 7 minutes. It's a great start to the run. Fire for both racers. The only downside to that is we're going to see text boxes for each of the hits on each kid. 116 for Dez. Did not catch what 199X grabbed here. We're hoping for a 2-round Starman fight here. We've got a shield and a bash from Buzz. He's the only one who's going to do any appreciable damage. And a 70, not quite enough for Dez there. I don't know if we got any smashes out of any of the kids, but we're probably going to need a third attack out of Buzz to get us out of this fight. Right, and almost perfectly synced here. We're about a second off for both racers. So we'll ditch these 2 squares here and try to work our way into the rest of the adventure. Pokey's dad seems like a real jerk, and I kind of understand why Pokey is the way he is. Buzz, no! Oh, sad face. So a lot of text to mash through here. We do want to make sure we're being cognizant of the buttons we are pressing. In this game, you can mash A and L. L will do pretty much everything in this game and will automatically select yes, as will A. But you do not want to select yes on this second box of text here, or BuzzBuzz is going to tell you everything he just told you. So after the first selection there, we want to make sure we're mashing B or select to get through that. It is just so very frustrating to get stuck on that text loop after getting through a pretty decent hill climb here. So we'll see what the runners have in store for us here at the zoo. So far, not too much to speak of. You gotta love it. Ooh, what a crow sneaking out from behind the tree there on 19.9x. We're going to grab our Mr. Baseball cap here from our friend in the treehouse. We're going to equip that very fast, model it around town for about 30 seconds, and then we're going to sell it. Like the cheap folk we are, we have better things to do with our money and time. Grabbing the trash burger real quick. Both our racers are going to be grabbing $40 out of the ATM. It's the nice starting feed, starting fund that we have from our dad that we will never meet throughout this game, unfortunately. We're going to grab the T-ball bat, the regular baseball cap, because Mr. Baseball Cap gives us almost $100 there, and that'll give us enough money to buy the cheat bracelet for some extra defense here at the beginning of the game. We need every bit of that because every single enemy here can be a run killer. Every split can be a run killer, because this is Boogey %. A nice little despawn walk down there. Following that path down the road will help despawn all of the extra spawn tiles here along the right side of the arcade. These Pogo Punk fights we're going to be getting in intentionally. Each of them is going to be dropping a hamburger. Both racers getting through that without too much difficulty. Dez does have a little bit of a lack of hit points there. 30 isn't bad, but probably going to be grabbing, yeah, it looks like we're going to grab some juice here out of the trash can to get a little extra boost before the next Pogo fight. Peen Train, thank you for the raid. Much appreciated. Welcome back to the stream. Dez and X both through Pogo 2, getting into the Yes Man Jr. fight. Not too much to see here. X is going to be using the bread roll here to top up on hit points. Both racers through the Yes Man Jr. fight. Going to be filling up here before the Frank fight. This can be very, very dangerous. We're hoping that Frank is just going to be talking dirty to everybody, not doing too many of these slashes with the big old knife. Came out swinging. That's what we want to see. Ideally, we'll be talking dirty, but the small attack is a lot less dangerous. Brandishing a knife can make things a lot more complicated here. Talking nasty on Dez's side. Dez is going to be the first one through the Frank fight. Very, very nice. And just behind for X. We love to see it. The Frankenstein fight is also quite predictable. We have a dead turn, and it's either going to be a light or heavy attack, so we just need to make sure we maintain our hit points. Anything above about 22 is pretty reliable for mashing out as long as we're paying attention to when we're healing. So we just need to keep an eye on our healing items. And Dez is through the Frankenstein fight. Looks like X is going to be right behind on that. Perfect. And right around 14 for both racers is a fantastic start to this category. Every single split in this category can be a run killer. So we're going to see the racers both healing up here at Frank. Going to be topping off their health and psychic points before we go and talk to Perkle to get into the next stage. This is going to be our only grind of the entire run. We need to be farming for 22 slugs ideally and no other enemies in Giant Step here to unlock our first offensive psychic ability. So this is another point where things can take a big swing. We are going to need to stock up on some healing items prior to that. So both racers will be doing that. In a PB attempt, you will see some of the top racers skipping the healing items there, depending on how the Frank fight went. So there are a lot of variations into how this race can go, but I think we're going to be seeing most people opting to take as many safeties as possible because this next split can be just obnoxious. The sofa is fluffy. I've been a big fan of that technique, bouncing off the sofa to make sure you get back through that little sneaky passage there and not get hung up on the couch. It's fun to see all of the different improvements that each racer makes throughout this tournament, especially having 33 racers, I think, entered into this year's tournament. There's been so much improvement from everybody's runs, including my own. I've been just really enjoying getting back into it. All right, Dez is going to be the first one into Giant Step here. Blank tiles there, and gonna do a little bit of stutter stepping away from this mouse. Trying to get the slug grind set up here. Each one of the enemies in Giant Step is stutterable. For those who aren't aware, some of the enemies in this game only move when you move, and they only check every certain number of frames. So if you're tapping along, you can move along the floor without any of those enemies moving to attack you. And the only random encounters we're going to see are the ones we see on the screen. So Dez has her first 4-pack here. We need a total of 22 of these slugs to get to where we need to be able to fight Titanic Ant successfully. X right behind, going to get 4-pack as well. And this spot here on Dez's side is a very popular spot, grabbing our 8th slugs here. The idea here is to try to spawn a mouse and to get them stuck on the cliff, so this particular spawn tile will not spawn any more mice, and you can just try to continually respawn these slugs. The first floor, you're only going to see the mice and the slugs. Once you get up to the second and third floor, Antoids start to spawn. They have the same sprite as the slugs do, and they can be very dangerous just because they can call for help, they can life up, they can just really make your day a lot longer and more painful than it needs to be. So Dez has a nice setup here with the mouse stuck on the cliff. It looks like X is going to be healing up there just to make sure they're ready for the next slug pack. The spawn trigger is just over that rock, so this makes a really nice, easy to identify spot to keep respawning those slugs. It's going to be 12 for Dez and 8 for X, I believe. Both racers have their stuck mouse set up here. Gonna keep trying to respawn the slugs. And a very quick 4-pack for Dez. So that's gonna be 16. Now, this is the point where some places can deviate in strategy. It is a definitely viable option to keep spawning the slugs on the first floor here just to not have to deal with the ants. But on the third floor, we could actually spawn a 6-pack to get the exact number of slugs we need to get to level 8. So it looks like Dez might be working towards that maneuver here. And another 4-pack here on the second floor. So just going to go ahead and take that. So any two enemies here will do enough experience for level 8 for Dez. So that is a pretty nice setup there. The mice here are pretty safe. They're either going to do 1 hit point or they're going to smash for a chunk of damage, but we have plenty of life ups at this point. The Antoids we're going to try to avoid just because they can call for help and drag the fight out longer than we want it to be. Yep, Dez gonna go ahead and take the mouse fight there. I don't think this is enough to get to level 8 on its own. I think we will still need one more enemy. X taking a single mouse as well. And doing some stutter stepping on Dez's side to try to isolate just the mouse. And unfortunately, the Antoid is joining on that one. So Dez is going to try to take out the Antoid first just to avoid any more calls for help. This is going to be enough to get to level 8. We got a couple slugs on X's side there. Alright, so Dez is at level 8. Went ahead and despawned the things up here on the top floor, and a little quick stutter step should get her past. Very nice. A quick ant fight for X there is going to get up to level 8 as well, so he is moving along. Dez going to heal up and fill up on psychic points with the butterfly here. Did not see what the offense roll was. If we end up with 24 or more offense, we can instant win the fights with a single Antoid. Dez choosing to go ahead and stutter past these. That's a pretty decent spot there. Ooh, and this one's going to be tricky. Very, very nice on the stutters there, getting down and around. That was a very tight window to get past that. So Dez is going to be the first one into the ant fight, and X right behind. We're going to see a first turn rocking here. We want to get rid of the black Antoids behind us there because we don't want any life ups. And a 57 is not a great roll for Dez. And a 72 is a little bit better there. So X right behind, doing the same kind of technique. Every time the Titanic ant hits us, we really want to have a healing queued up here. Anytime we get hit, we just don't have that much room to live past another big smash from the Titanic ant. This is one of the biggest spots where runs can fail, just because we don't have any margin for error with the amount of hit points we have. Plenty of healing items, but if you don't have it queued up at the right time, it can just ruin your day. Once we get past the first two rock-ins, and Dez is through the Titanic ant fight, every magnet here for X is going to be a dead turn. The defense down can be a little dangerous, and both racers are through Titanic ant. Very nice. I love seeing no ant deaths. So pretty smooth ant fights for both racers. Looks like Dez is going to grab the free burger here out of the present, heading into the cop gauntlet here. This is the next big challenge for the early game here, the last gatekeeper before we get out of O-Net. We have 4 cops and Captain Strong to deal with. We will see if our racers choose to refill on burgers at the burger shop before going into that. With things as close as they are, it could be a deciding factor in the early game here who gets the lead going into Peaceful Rest Valley. But anything can happen in Boogey Percent. For those just joining us, this is not a live race. This is a premiere. These races are pre-recorded, so I am right there with you with not knowing what is going to happen, and that is part of the fun of Boogey. All right, both racers opting to go with the healing items they have, getting right into the cop gauntlet. Dez is going to be the first one there. Well, Dez, if you know what happened, I have a few other questions for you that we can deal with off of stream. All right, into the first cop fight here, and a big smash going to get us through there. 62 hit points, so we will have the option to go ahead and attack right off the bat. Anything below about 50 hit points, you want to think about healing. Once we get down into the 35-ish range, we're going to be looking at life up. We do have a decent amount of psychic points going into this on Dez's side. Did not see what X is sitting at. Yep, same thing there. And a couple of crushing chops on X's side. Those are going to eat up the healing items a little bit quicker, getting some decent heals out of the burgers. Ooh, and a smash on Dez's side. So that's going to be a life up. Going to go ahead and tank up there on the hit points. All of these crushing chops are going to kind of eat up turns there, just having to stop to heal. A regular attack isn't going to be as critical to heal right away. $33 hit points for Dez, going to go ahead and life up. And a miss, very nice. Ooh, the crushing chop, so 66 hit points. That is going to be alright going into the next fight here. So the play here is either going to be rockin', heal, rockin', or if we're going to be extra safe, just start off with the heal in case Strong wants to start off with a grapple. It looks like Dez is going to opt to go ahead and heal just to be safe there. Coming out swinging, so that's going to be the weaker attack for Strong. 92 hit points is a nice rockin' there, and a guard is great. So, oh, and the double rockin' doesn't work for Dez. Gross. And a couple of bashes here, a couple guards, and a couple of misses for Strong. Alright, Dez is through the Strong fight here. X's side, looks like choosing to bash this one out for the most part. We did have to life up there early because of a submission hold. I'm going to go ahead and life up again here. Alright, and just choosing to bash that one out, so they will have some extra hit points to go ahead into Tucson with in case there's any encounters between here and the pencil statue. The enemies coming up can be pretty dangerous if we get into an encounter with them, so being able to blow them away with rockin' can be very beneficial. Dez going to be the first one working their way out of O net. Anything under 30 minutes in a race, you're pretty happy to see, especially with no deaths. Alright, a lot of shrooms on Dez's side, but nothing that we actually have to deal with. The aggro radius on those mushrooms is pretty low, so as long as you're aware of when they're going to start chasing after you, you can kind of move through there with a little bit of caution. It saves you a lot of trouble with the despawns. You have to get about a third of the way off the screen before you can despawn the enemy, and you always have the risk of respawning them. At this point, our runners are going to be going through a few plot triggers here. You'll see Dez is choosing to grab a bunch of extra money here. We've got some shopping ahead of us, and we're going to save here to set up for a death warp coming out of Happy Happy Village. So X is going to be about 30 seconds behind on that one. Is going to go pay a trip to Apple Kid and invest in future inventions. And just to help the story along, this mouse is in the cell phone business, so we've got a way to communicate with Apple Kid moving forward. An angry cop there down at the edge of the screen for Dez, nothing to worry about. There are some spawns that can pop up here. On the most, we really just want to worry about the mobile sprouts. The shrooms are fairly easy to deal with, but if we get too close to the sprouts, they're just going to chase us down, and they can call for help. This cave here can be a big stopping point. Dez able to get through the first room without any spawns, and the second room here able to despawn that sprout pretty quick. So very, very nice fart cave for Dez. X gonna be just behind, able to sneak past the shrooms there, knowing how far their aggro radius is. Nice work on Dez's side to avoid some of the spawn triggers here in the first section of PRV. All of these enemies are very fast, and they can be extremely difficult to run away from, as well as just not get into an encounter with in the first place. So super nice work there for Dez, getting away from those UFOs. Because of the way they move, they can do those big swoops, and if you're timing when you're moving the screen away from them, it's a little bit easier to despawn them that way. But with all of the different enemies that pop up here, each one of them has their own set of danger. So Dez able to get back through the cave there to start the Apple Kid trigger here. Gonna need to go back to the park to get the pencil eraser, and X right behind. And Dez grabbing a safety butterfly there. Gonna give a little extra psychic points in case we need to heal or rock in on any fights. Able to sneak past those mushrooms there. And X able to get through the cave as well. So going to get that Apple Kid trigger. If you don't get high enough to spawn the pencil statue, that photo or the phone call from Apple Kid will not happen. You do not want to find yourself in that position. Ask me how I know. Dez grabbing an extra skip sandwich there. The extra mobility has been very popular to have around for Peaceful Rest Valley. This next split can be just terrible, terrible, terrible for everybody. Ooh, got a cop spawn here on X's side, and have to despawn that one real quick. Not super dangerous, but just a time sink that we do not need. Oh, you're just going to call me out like that, Slug. I see how it is. Let me just say, you do not want to get stuck trying to respawn sprouts in this cave for a minute after you've already forgotten to spawn the pencil statue so you can get that phone call. It is sad, and it will make you sad for an extended period of time. It is terrible. So Dez going to be the first one to erase the pencil here and into PRV proper. This section can just be a nightmare for anyone, new and veteran, this corner in particular. So we have to worry about spawns here in this corner as well as on the bottom of the hill and on the top of the hill. And each one of them can just cause you to need to respawn over and over and over again. And Dez is in kind of a tricky spot here. Each of these enemies is right on the border and not really able to despawn, and great job to be able to despawn the one on the hill there, that spinning robo. Reasonable enemy to fight, but not having to do it at all is amazing. So that butterfly is not cooperating for Dez. X is going to go ahead and erase the pencil there. We'll see what they have in store for them. Dez's side cruising right up here, no spawns to speak of, and able to grab the second butterfly to top up the psychic points. One last hill to worry about with a couple of spawn plates. We'll see if they need to use that skip sandwich that we bought here in Tucson. Ooh, oh, and an unfortunate red swirl for Dez. The spinning robo is a reasonable enemy to fight, but still not what you want to see. I'm going to choose to try to run away from it, but couldn't. The accuracy on this beam isn't super high, so I do get that one, and able to run away on the third try. Very nice for Dez. So Dez out of PRV Purgatory. X going to have to try to despawn. Oh, no, actually choosing to just shimmy their way around that tree. Very, very nice. Using the terrain to get that one stuck. And this one is going to be another skip sandwich scenario. Very, very fast. Able to dip by the sprouts and the trees, and stepped on stick. -1 Ori point. Dez going to go ahead and grab the Sandlot Bat and the Holmes hat there, give us a little extra offense and defense, getting into the shack fight. Looks like going to grab a snack as well, a croissant. Yes, not having to backtrack. Ooh, oh, sorry, Dez. That's just gross. Oh, only having to grab one cultist out. I'm gonna stop talking. Heck you, happy. So, walking into the cave there and getting a cultist to spawn right on top of you is just annoying. It's terrible. And you cannot run away from this because thanks to the shack fight, all of these cultist fights are scripted. So able to get out of that one fairly quickly, but having to burn a rockin' to do it. Not having to fight that second cultist that was there trying to be a jerk. And X gaining a little bit of time on Dez there. Crow Party USA for both. Obviously not a very dangerous thing, but certainly annoying, and all that extra lag can just be kind of nerve-wracking at this point in the race. Both our racers are going to be talking to Paula, getting the Franklin badge here. You do want to make sure that you have open slots in your inventory, because you will sometimes forget to grab the Franklin badge if you didn't realize your inventory was full. I learned that one the hard way as well. And both racers going to be into the shack fight about the same point. I'm going to be starting off with a rockin' on Dez's side. 80, 87, 68. So the Crow is down, but not enough to one-shot either of the cultists there. We don't want to see any calls for help. X was able to blow away one of the cultists there as well as the crow, so only one more hit to kill that cultist there, and both racers out of it at darn near the same time. So this is going to be neck and neck going into the HQ. And Dez going to be getting a cultist spawn there, just trying to slow things down a little bit. Dez going to be stopping for... Oh, egg. And the banana. So we want to make sure we've got a decent amount of health going into this next cultist fight, because once again, they can call for help. But we don't want to have too much health to get into the car painter fight, because we do want to try to set up for a death warp after this. So X is going to be the first one into the HQ fight. 51 on the cultist. 94 hit points total. Ness missing is not going to help anybody. Both racers through HQ cultist. Very nice. No calls for help. You love to see it. Right, and both coming into the car painter fight at darn near the same time. The big play in this one is going to be getting lucky. We want to see some crashing boom bang attacks reflect on the car painter with that dandy little Franklin badge that we got. Both racers getting one reflect. This next turn is going to be a life up. This is a scripted fight, so we're going to see reflect, life up, and a bash, and a reflect shield bash. And it's going to repeat until the cows come home. So really, we need to see some reflex and some big hits to get through car painter. Dez is going to be the first one through the car painter fight, getting that second reflect and a rock in there to do enough damage to knock that one out. X is going to be just behind. I don't believe they got that extra crashing boom bang. There it is. So that's going to be enough to get through the car painter fight. Dez grabbing the skip sandwich on the way out of the HQ there. So both racers going to need to go back and grab Paula. We're going to set up for our death warp here to get back to Tucson, just to avoid having to walk all the way back through PRV. That's a lot of crows. Nice work. Des able to get the crow to dodge out of the way of the door there to grab Paula. We're going to try to drop all of the items that we have defensively to get through the death warp as quickly as possible. And it looks like X is going to be taking the crows there. Didn't look like it was going to be feasible to try to spin them out of the doorway. So very quick fight through that, just dropping another rocket on it to get through. Because we're going to be taking intentional death, maintaining our psychic points is super important. It is important to go through the top exit there, getting out of the cabin there. If you go through the bottom, besides all of the crows that were blocking Dez's way, there is a photo trigger there. We're hoping to avoid seeing the Fuzzy Pickles Man, if possible, in this run. So not able to get the red swirl on Dez's side, but this is 100% mole spawn, and a nice big hit right off the bat for Ness, so that's good. We want to see big hits, and Ness is down, so very good start to the mole warp for Dez. Just need probably one more hit for Paula, and that'll take care of it. All right, beautiful. No gut save. So Dez has a very, very good death warp. And has enough money there to revive Paula and get through the next few story triggers. So we're going to need to make a few pit stops here in Tucson to get through the next story triggers before we move on to Threed and get into the next section of the game. So we'll see what we have in store for X. It looks like a nice hit on Ness so far from the mole, but a couple of misses aren't really helping. So this particular point can just slow you down, and there's nothing you can do to speed this thing up. You're really reliant on the mole actually cooperating and doing the damage that you need him to do to get through this death warp. The gut save there for Nets did get an extra hit there to finish the job, but it's the one time you really don't want a gut save, and it's usually when it's going to happen, is on that death warp. Desmond going to stop here at Paula's house, and then we're going to go off and meet the homie Everdread for a big sack full of money before we go and see ourselves a sweet concert. Everybody prepare your dancing shoes. A couple of spawns for Dez, not any kind of threat really, but you do have to pay attention. They can sneak up on you. Right side theater entrance. No worries on a photo trigger there. Next, taking the right side exit out of the Polestar School. I like that. Everybody's got their flavor. Dez getting into the Runaway 5 scene first here. Little quick dance break. Throw your favorite dance emotes in chat, everybody. So Dad's gonna go and pay off the theater owner here in Tucson so the Runaway 5 can get out of servitude. And for our troubles, we get a free bus ride into a zombie-infested town. Hot diggity. And a clean right bus. Skirt. We have Dez going to be the first one into 3 here, with X getting onto the bus. So we'll see what 3 has in store. This graveyard can be a real doozy. Right, able to get a pretty clean despawn of the garbage pail there. The flies can come hot and heavy through this graveyard here, and they like to hide behind the trees. And a clean escape as well. So gonna go and talk to the nice lady here at the hotel and head off into the Winters segment of the game. We've got X slightly behind here, cruising along through the ghost-infested tunnel. Having to do a little bit of despawn on X's side to get through the graveyard there. Able to get up to the zombie trigger there. As long as you're able to trigger the zombies to look at you, any fight after this, ooh, I shouldn't talk. That's a lot of angry flies there. All right, able to escape from the graveyard and go and talk to the lady at the hotel. So Dev's going to be the first one going through the segment here at the boarding school. Jeff and Tony here are going to be playing Great Escape, but first we have to go and talk to old Maxwell here to learn a little bit about keys. That's going ahead and dropping the broken spray can there. Save a little bit of text on the next segment. I believe it's depending on the amount of IQ points that Jeff has, you will be able to repair certain items. The broken spray can will turn into defense spray. I think there's a broken pop gun here in one of the lockers that I want to guess turns into a zip gun. but I really can't remember. I never grab it. Old Tony putting the world and his best friend on his back there to break out of school. And we're going to go and get our worst friend, Bubble Monkey, for the low, low price of $1. Yeah, it is a little sad, Woody name guy. But you know what? Jeff has at least 3 better friends. Dev's going to go ahead and take the safety dog there. Going to get the extra level out of that. No bread roll, unfortunately. The extra healing item can be very nice. Oh, that's fair. Called out correctly. We forgot Tessie. So 4 friends. 4 friends that are better than Bubble Monkey. Alright, Des able to sneak past the tent there. There is a photo trigger that is just barely below that bottom tent there, so that is a pretty sneaky little trick there. An X grabbing the dogfight as well, not able to get the janky green swirl on it from Bubble Monkey there. Is able to get the 50% bread roll, however, so an extra healing item on X's side. So Des will bid farewell to Tessie here. The first one down into Brick Road. Gonna do a quick despawn of a 100% goat tile. And we will get into the first last boss of the game. Worthless Proto starting off with 9 hit points of damage on Jeff there, and going ahead and calling for help. So we've got Proto B right off the bat. You hate to see it. Dev's going to go ahead and defend there, and going to try to get away on this next turn, calling for help and sizing up the situations. So Proto A is down, so Monkey did something useful, and Des able to get away with 3 hit points. Very, very nice. You have a negative percentage chance to run away from that fight when you first start, so if they call for help early, that could be super dangerous. You do respawn where Tessie drops you off, but you don't want to have to deal with all of that nonsense. That's a pretty nice setup for the duck skip there. Dez able to cruise right along, Monkey not able to mess that one up, but unfortunately able to go ahead and just stand and stare off into space while Proto charges into us. So, second Proto skip is kind of lost, but this fight is a little bit safer because you have the extra experience from the first couple fights. X getting into Proto 1 here. We'll see what happens. And a smash from the Monkey for 7 hit points there. Jeff not doing a whole heck of a lot. Dez setting up to do some stuttering here for the first room of Pond Cave here. Every single one of these sections has a spawn plate that can cause you some problems. So doing a little maneuvering there. Ooh, able to get the green swirl on the mouse. That's nice. X trying to get the duck skip set up here. Looks like it's almost in the right position, but it's a little bit dicey. Dez doing some very nice stuttering to get past the mouse there on that little middle tile. And going to go and pop and grab the hamburger here out of the package. X is able to get the duck skip set up, and oh, come on, Monkey. So no second proto skip for either runner. Dez getting hung up there in the median, having to take a mouse and slug fight. Not impossible to get through, but with the smash there, does make it kind of dicey. Ooh, and taking a death on Dez's side, that's unfortunate there in Pond Cave. So that is going to put us back to where Tessie drops us off. The 2 fights that Dez took, she's not going to have to do again. But that duck, I believe, is still going to be there. I'm not sure if just getting through Brick Road is enough to despawn the forced enemies. Oh, it looks like it is. Okay. So getting through that trigger there at the end of Brick Road is enough to despawn. It is. Awesome. Fantastic. Alright, X able to despawn the one in the cavern there. Ooh, an unfortunate red swirl. The stuttering didn't quite go according to plan there around the package. Able to run away from the couple of slugs, and Dez going to try to stutter on past the mouse and the slug. There's an awful lot of spawns here. Not loving that one. Really threading the needle for Dez. Super nice. Super nice stutters. Alright, able to free up that first room. That makes this one a little bit more manageable. Unfortunately, X has got a mushroom there on the left side of that second cavern. And the aggro radius on that one's just not letting you get through. Dez is going to go ahead and stutter through Little Pond. Into the third room there, and at this point just have to despawn that section, and X able to get a freebie through that door, so both runners right in the same spot. X is the first one into the second section, can get that rope knockdown, and Dez unfortunately will just keep getting these mushroom spawns. There we go, so able to at least get into the cavern and catch up. Come on, Monkey. And no mushroom spawns at the top of the cliff there for X, so able to get out of that one cleanly. We'll see what happens for Dez. Grabbing the bottle rocket just to make sure we have safety there. And those mushrooms are in an alright spot. You get those stuck on the cliff and you can just bomb right out of here. No cave boy shenanigans. This is serious Earthbound gaming, Uko. It's good to take the game and yourself seriously. I'm not gonna start on the Cotton Eye Jeff thing. I can't go there today. You gotta throw it out there. You gotta shoot your shot. I get it. So we got both racers within about 10 seconds of each other, both into a cutscene. Nice little break for this guy here, but it's going to come right down to the wire. I don't know that there's a whole lot of level difference that it's going to come down to, so we'll see if one of the kids gets whacked. We'll see if someone chooses to skip the teddy bear. This could even come down to what happens outside that gravestone. Anything can happen. Alright, X is going to be the first one coming in for a landing here. Easy. And he sticks the landing. X grabbing the teddy outside the graveyard there. No spawns to speak of. Des choosing to skip the teddy. X able to get into the Boogey fight without getting any extra encounters. Des going to... That skip sandwich does look like it came in handy, because there's a dog there looking for trouble. And a one shot for Des. And that was just enough to get past Racer X there. Goodness gracious. We're going to have a little mashy-mashy ahead of us. It's going to be a very tight finish once again. And Dez with a 110.01 to finish it off. X just behind with a 110.08. Once again, another slick boogie race within 10 seconds of each other. You gotta love to see it. And this is just a premiere. These are the kind of exciting things you get to see on the Earthbound Super Series. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for this dandy premiere. I don't know if we have any other ones that we need to show off, and I don't know who we have out there to raid, but I think we're all open to suggestions.
Any final words?
I think that's all I got for you. Thanks everybody for hanging out. It's been a pleasure of a Saturday.
Yeah, we have a grip of people to choose from for Earthbound. I think I'm going to rate Oxwas. Him and Octo are doing the 1/128 run. And like I mentioned in chat, yeah, brackets are going to be coming out probably Monday or Tuesday, so keep an eye out on those. We're going into the tourney, y'all. Have a great day.
Rock and roll.